Hello, I'm Bob Wilhelm, and I'm a storyteller. This Sunday story is about St. Brigid of Kildare. It's a fascinating story that is known all through Ireland and a popular one, Brigid being considered, along with St. Patrick and St. Columba, as the Holy Trinity of Ireland. One of the fascinating things about the Brigid story is her connection between the connection of light and water in her story. Originally, there was a Brigid who was, in the religious imagination of the Celtic people, a goddess and a kind of a caretaker for one of the great feast days, the quarter days as they are called. February 1st, one of the four quarters of the year. We know November 1st as a far more popular one with the Feast of All Hallows Eve or Halloween. But February 1st is, as Halloween is the beginning of the Celtic winter, February 1st is the beginning of the Celtic spring. And Brigid is the one who celebrates, who brings in the theme of a new beginning and a new creation. The real historical Brigid, of course, was named after the old goddess. This was at the time when the people of Ireland, the Celts, were being evangelized. And just in the generation before her, Patrick came with his message of the gospel. So Brigid is rooted in two worlds. She's committed to the gospel, and the story is about her really focus on her deep and profound understanding of the nature of the gospel, especially in its social dimension, especially in the dimension of caring for those who are outcasts, who are poor, who are beggars, providing them with generosity, very much in the Celtic tradition, blessing people with gifts, being generous, not holding back, but giving. Now, the story that I tell of Brigid is a collection of folk tales about her. And one of the best collections is now an old book, about 100 years old, by Lady Gregory, who wrote a collection of stories of Brigid and Columba and St. Patrick. It's a great collection of stories with some wonderful prints that are included, some very simple woodcuts that are part of the book that she had published at the beginning of the 20th century. So I refer you to that book, but I hope you'll have a chance to listen to the stories about Brigid in my telling of the tale. One last comment, and this is a bit of a background on how this story came to be. Kelly and I had traveled to Ireland many, many times doing our travel journeys. Our themes would very frequently take us to the west of Ireland, to the area north and west of Galway called Connemara, a magnificent, beautiful place, very rugged, dominated by the 12 bends, the mountains that rise from the sea. And on one particular trip, we had the occasion to meet a local storyteller. In my story, I've changed many of the names of the characters in the story, who were real people as I wove them into the story. But Buena is indeed the name of this woman who lived in the west of Ireland and who was known throughout the area of Connemara for her gift as a healer, as a storyteller, as a singer, as a keeper of the ancient traditions. And on this particular trip, this journey, this Storyfest journey where we had a dozen or more people with us traveling in the west of Ireland, there was a woman, an American woman, who went to see Buena in order to receive some encouragement and some healing. She met Buena at the event in the hotel where we were staying, which in itself is another story. This hotel in Connemara it was a wonderful hotel in terms of the setting and the food and the rooms, but the service was always a bit questionable. There was a disgruntledness with the employees, with the management of the hotel. And the hotel had a very ancient and, in a sense, a very troubled history. But there were many reasons for going there, and so we decided to go there. But this one time we managed to have Boina come to the hotel. And when Boina came to the hotel to tell her stories and to sing her songs, something magnificent happened. The staff, the many, many young Irish people who worked there, kids really in their late teens and early 20s, who had no real choice of employment, especially back in the 80s and 90s when we were doing our tours. And this hotel was one of the few places where they could get a job. But again, there was a lot of tension in the hotel between the management and the staff. And the result was that our service was always kind of unpredictable. Things might happen, they might not. It was always an adventure to go to this hotel. But when Boina came and did her presentation for our group in the meeting room in the hotel, an amazing thing happened. It never happened at any other time. And that is the whole staff of the hotel, many, many people, appeared in the doorways and outside the room in great reverence and quiet and respect in order to hear Boina voice her songs and her stories. And believe me, we were treated to the best meal on that trip afterwards, the best meals and the best service from the young people who recognized and honored this wonderful woman with the gifts that she had to bring. She was a mirror to the traditions of that place. And I still remember when she sang her song, she named the places, the little creeks, the beaches, the little villages, the farms, the outcroppings, all the places that gave the people in this part of Connemara a pride in their identity. And so in many ways she was like a modern day Brigid. She was a healer. But I invite you to listen to the story. The story of Brigid is a wonderful story. They're usually very, very short. They're filled with humor. They're filled with drama. They're like parables. And again, the Brigid of Kildare, the Saint Brigid who lived 1,500 years ago, she not only represents the power and the healing of light and water as the pagan goddess did before her, but she brings the message of God's justice. She cries out for the poor. She brings a moral dimension to her identity. She's one of my favorite saints. I'm Bob Wilhelm, and I am a storyteller.